If your husband is a good guy, but you're ready for divorce, you're not a bad person. So don't let guilt get the best of you. You're not doing him any favors by staying. If anything, you're actually going to start building up resentment. Your relationship doesn't have to be toxic to validate your feelings of wanting to leave.
This is one of the reasons why the divorce rate is so high, why there are more single people than ever, because there's this pervasive cultural myth that says that relationships are meant to be simple, easy, and convenient. And if they're not, then just leave. If you think that relationships are going to be straightforward, let me just destroy that expectation for you. You think you're going to meet a girl and it's instantly just going to be perfection? Absolutely not. Relationships are messy. The tolerance in our culture for things that are messy has gone down massively. We want things that are easy and convenient. We want simplicity and instant gratification. My streaming services are easy. The apps on my phone are simple. The prostitute that I pay for sex doesn't have any expectations beyond money. Everything else in my life is just simple and convenient, but my romantic relationship is hard work and it's messy. We have to talk things through. We have to help each other emotionally. We have to be good at compromise and conflict resolution and communication skills, and it's just exhausting to put in all this work. Nothing else in my life makes me do this. And there is this mindset that says that unless a relationship slots in perfectly with my existing life, then it's not worth having. I want you to watch this next video because you are not going to believe the ending.
I'm going on 50 first dates. Here's day number 7.
Okay. Sorry. But first of all, she's going on 50 first dates. Just your daily reminder of how easy it is as a woman to get 50 first dates. Sorry, let's keep going.
So I matched with this guy on Hinge. He asked me out for dinner. We're gonna go and get some pizza together. Wish me luck. So update, I met him outside the tube stop and it was like raining. Bought an umbrella. The whole time he was like holding the umbrella over me. Oh my God, guys. We ate the pizza. I had spinach caught in my teeth. So embarrassed. He was eventually like, you just have a little bit of spinach. And I dropped food twice. Walked past this arcade place, playing like air hockey and like some driving games and stuff. Actually really fun. I'm having a nice time with him. Playing pool. He made a comment about my body. I love curvy women. Know that it's a compliment. Don't comment on my body on the first day. So sweet and he's so nice and intelligent. He doesn't drink. He was really sweet, but the alcohol thing is a bit of a deal breaker for me. And I thought about seeing him again, but at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to cook dinner and have like a bottle of wine. But, like, I do want to go out and like have a crazy drunken night with him, you know? Like, that's where we're not aligned.
Can you believe it? He's a nice guy. He's sweet. He's intelligent. He holds up the umbrella when it's raining over me. He likes my body, even though I'm clearly overweight. We had a good time. He's a nice guy. We had a fun evening. But no, because I want to be able to drink wine while I'm making dinner. I want to be able to go out and have a drunken night. So we're just not aligned on values. No deal. No second date with this guy because I can't compromise even a little bit, even on something as moronic as that. And this is not just women too. I'm going to point the finger directly at men because my Hey Hero inbox is flooded with men who are talking themselves out of relationships for really stupid, petty shit. I can't tell you how many variations of this story I've heard. Like, I've been dating this girl for 6 months. She's really sweet. She's really kind. She's really pretty. She treats me really well, but she has a tattoo on her arm and I just don't know if I can live with that. Or she had a one-night stand back when she was 19 and that's really not my values. Or some of her friends are vegan and I'm worried about that. Is that a red flag? And so here I am on my end of the computer screen reading that there's this sweet girl who treats you nice, who's feminine. The relationship is good, it's enjoyable, but you're thinking about this one tiny flaw or this one mistake that she made 5 years ago. Have some perspective. Please, you know that high quality women who treat you nicely are rare, right? You found one and she sounds great and you like the relationship. Why are you focusing on the negative? Who told you that you are entitled to expect perfection? Are you perfect? Have you never made mistakes? Do you not have any mental health issues or any annoying habits? Or are you generally a good guy who has like a couple of flaws, but you treat people well and you've got a bright future? I think the manosphere might be partly to blame here because with all of the praise of like the 22-year-old virgin with lots of femininity, no debt, no mental health issues. Like, there's so much praise of that girl that it makes men who consume too much of that content feel like they're a failure if they're dating a girl who doesn't fit that description perfectly. And this is a weird place for me to be in, because for so much of my career here on YouTube, the majority of my advice has been trying to encourage men to raise their standards and to pay more attention to the red flags. Stop ignoring them. Stop being such desperate simps that you're committing to the girl, even though she's obviously a disaster. Like, believe me, I still have to give that advice a lot. She drinks 3 nights a week. That's a red flag. She slept with 8 men last year. Red flag. She's speaking to you disrespectfully. That's a red flag. Pay attention to this stuff. Like, yes, I'm still encountering a lot of men who need that advice, 100%. But increasingly, there's a growing number of requests from men who are overcorrecting. They're letting perfection be the enemy of good enough. And they're developing really unrealistic expectations about what it means to be inside a relationship. The reality is that you're not perfect and she's not going to be perfect either. And the relationship is not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be messy. You're going to need to work at it. It's really concerning the damage that's being done by this message that's permeating society that says that you're entitled to expect perfection and that relationships are meant to be easy. And so when you're consuming content that's talking about the qualities of a woman and what are positive values for her to have, try and discern what is the underlying intention of that content. Is it to make you aware of red flags and to educate you and make sure that you got your standards raised high enough and to make sure that you have some standards and some expectations for the women that date you? Or is the purpose just to shame women by holding up some unrealistic standard and expectation for them? And the true purpose is just to give men the opportunity to vent their emotional frustrations and feel superior and virtue signal by criticizing women for falling short. Because let me tell you, if men only deem women as acceptable if they are perfect, then we're total hypocrites. Because how many times have you heard men criticize women for their unrealistic expectations? You know, the idea that every woman is entitled to a man who's 6 foot, making 6 figures, has a 6-pack, and 6 inches. All those sixes, women feel entitled to that. And we're like, this is ridiculous. Like, women, you can't have everything. Stop being so entitled. You can't expect perfection. Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. But the men who think that they're entitled to some perfect virgin woman who's never made a mistake in her life are just as ridiculously entitled. And just to be clear, I'm not enthusiastic about tattoos or the fact that she had a one-night stand. That's not my value system. This isn't something to celebrate. But you don't need perfection to be happy. And the expectation of perfection is likely going to destroy your chance of real happiness. So let me give it to you straight. Let me talk about reality. Gentlemen, when you meet a woman, a high-quality woman, expect that there's going to be something wrong with her. Overall, she's going to be great. She's going to treat you well. She's going to be feminine. She's going to be a good mother. All the important stuff is going to be there, and you shouldn't compromise on the important stuff. But there's going to be something that is wrong with her. I don't know what it is, okay? Maybe she had a slightly more colorful past than you wanted. Maybe she's not quite as pretty as the dream girl that you imagined. Maybe on certain topics she gets a little bit more emotional than you would like. Or she has some close friends that you find annoying. Or she's a few years older than you'd ideally want. Or maybe there's some sexual issue that's difficult for the two of you to overcome. I don't know what it is, but I know people, and you should not expect perfection from people. Even if she's a high quality woman who you're excited to spend the rest of your life with, there'll be something wrong with her. Remember, she hasn't just been lying dormant, waiting for you to come into her life and activate her. No, she's her own person. She's had her own experiences, her own relationships, her own achievements and frustrations and failures. She's got her own personality, her own perspective on things. And when you first meet, they're not going to sync perfectly with yours. I think it's really concerning when men are overly fetishizing the woman who's completely unspoiled. They claim that fresh, innocent kind of femininity and purity. And I'm not saying that I don't understand the appeal of that, but hopefully you can understand that if it gets to a point where you're valuing that so much to the point where any experiences she's had before meeting you, you're viewing as a negative, then you've clearly lost perspective. Not every experience that a woman has had is going to be a negative one and make her bitter. The hardships that we go through life can be character building. And when you meet a high quality woman, she's probably going to be able to tell you about the various struggles and difficult relationships she had in her life, and ideally the lessons that she learned from them and how she grew from them. It's not a negative that she's been completely sheltered from the world. It's a positive thing because she's engaged with the world and has come out stronger because of it. solid. That's how you know she has some depth, some character. There's a strong case to be made for a version of femininity that has been through some shit and come out stronger on the other side. So even when you meet the girl who you ultimately want to settle down with, please don't have the delusional expectation that the two of you are going to be perfectly in sync with each other from the beginning. That's not going to happen. What you need to be checking for is that you're mostly on the same page. You largely see the world the same way, you have the same goals and values, you're going in the same direction. For that stuff, the two of you do need to be in tune with each other, but that's probably not going to account for so much of the daily interactions and just the general way that you communicate with each other and the way that you talk about things. For that, it's going to be a little bit messy. Some of the things that you don't understand about her are potentially going to frighten you, and so you need to have the masculine courage to actually have the conversation. Like, why do you say that? Why do you see things this way? Why did you make this decision in your past? And actually be open to learning why she's doing those things. Again, the idea of having standards for the women that we date is for the purpose of making sure that you don't settle for some low quality abusive woman. But it's not intended to hold up some unattainable image of perfection to all women and then shame them for falling short. That's just being delusional. That's being entitled. And it's being cowardly. It's falling in love with some two-dimensional image because you're not emotionally mature or competent enough to actually deal with a real woman. So please don't be like this woman that we saw at the start of the video, ending things with men over really superficial stuff, believing that you're entitled to perfection and when you don't get it, you just move on to the next person. Expect it to not be perfect. Expect it to be difficult in times. Certainly expect it to be messy and then be prepared to work on it. Put in the time, put in the effort, compromise, learn from each other and grow. A lot of the pair bonding that actually creates that feeling of loyalty to your partner comes from overcoming those difficulties and growing through them. If she's perfect and there's never any issues in your relationship, then you haven't really been tested as a couple. But if there were some hard times and you struggled to understand each other's idiosyncrasies and talk through the differences in values and perspectives, when you successfully navigate those challenges, you're going to feel so much closer to that person. Your relationship is not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to lose your temper. Sometimes she will. You're going to make mistakes. It's a relationship. It's not a fairy tale. There's not going to be some happily ever after. A relationship is work. You need to do it and she needs to do it. It's going to be messy, but that's okay. It's meant to be. Expect it. I'm not saying ignore red flags to the point where you're tolerating abuse. I'm saying be better than the instant gratification generation who believes they're entitled to everything without putting in any hard work. In a couple of places in this video, I touched on this concept of female purity versus experience, and I have so much to say about this topic, including what the ideal age is for a woman when you should start dating her. Obviously, too much experience could be prohibitive, but not enough experience could be dangerous. So in the end, what's better, a woman who's 25 years old or a woman who's 19? I answered this question in the full-length version of this video, which is available on my Patreon. What you're seeing here on YouTube is just the shortened version. If you want access to the full video, come over to my Patreon.